I've worked on various aspects of artificial intelligence and cognitive science and the World Wide Web, stretching back in a career almost 30 years now here in Edinburgh. From phone menu systems that you speak to when you talk to your bank, even something as apparently simple as Google Maps uses AI planning techniques to offer you what it thinks is the best route. Machine translation, that is the translation of one language into another automatically, also finds its way into a lot of different tools which we see on the web. And what's interesting about all of these things is that they're bits and pieces of AI. It's a stimulating and challenging analogy. It seems very easy to say, well, we have computer hardware and we run software on it. And we have neural hardware and we run mental software on it. To think of the mind versus the brain as the same kind of distinction as software versus hardware. But it's not actually clear which direction that analogy is most helpful, because it turns out when you push hard on it, computer science doesn't actually do very well at distinguishing between hardware and software. And the same is true about the mind-brain analogy. That is, philosophers have been working for, in some sense, over 2,000 years at trying to understand what's the difference between us and our brains. Over 50 years ago, a brilliant British mathematician named Alan Turing, who's perhaps most famous for being involved in the code-breaking efforts at Bletchley Park during the Second World War, worked around this problem by saying, well, here's a test. The basic idea was, if you had a conversation with something and you didn't know whether it was a computer or a human, and you guessed wrong about that question as often as you guessed right, then we'd have to call the computer intelligent. And consciousness is obviously a crucial part of being able to take responsibility. And when we start thinking in terms of responsibility, morality, social context, it becomes very, very difficult to see a path from where we are today with what computers can do, even do extremely well in limited contexts on particular tasks, as escalating to that integrated, and not only integrated within itself, but also integrated into society and into its moral and cultural structures in a way which we would call conscious and responsible. Over the last 20 or 30 years, it's become clear that huge and important aspects of our own intelligence depend on the way in which we are embedded in and interact with the world. So a computer in a box in a room, I think it's fair to say, will never become intelligent. Whether we can ever get a computer in a body in society, that's a huge, long way away. And maybe it would be possible. So for my money, it's so far out in the future that I can't conceive of it. But as a scientist, I don't have any proof that it's impossible, so I can't say it will never happen. If it did, would that artifact then be in a position to take over? Well, no more and no less than human beings have been in a position to take over, as far as I can see.